crusades and all the evil things that Christianity brought to the world.
He wins. I don't know what to say. No. I can understand what you're saying. You seem to say that a lot of religion has brought, danger on society, let alone some full-on wars. There's a couple interesting things. One is that, did you actually know that when you calculate all the numbers of deaths that have occurred through religious wars, they don't even come up anywhere close to the number of deaths that occurred in just this past century because of secular regimes, such as the Holocaust and Pol Pot and Stalin in the Soviet Union. There's been over 100 million deaths in just this past century because of secular ideas running through the secular regimes. So is your concern about the number of deaths that occurred as a result of ideas, or is it something else?
You can't really.
I feel like Oprah here. What say you?
You can't really, blame atheism for those things. Even like Robespierre in the French Revolution, he was a Christian, so a lot of these things are still they still somehow relate back to individuals who are of faith. So.
Yeah, that's true. There's certainly been, unfortunately, a number of deaths through Christians, but I think one thing to keep clear is there's a difference between Christians who, let's say, kill in the name of God, and being a faithful Christian, right? There's a difference between a false idea and adherents who hold to a true idea falsely. One time, for example, I had someone call in, a stranger call in to the house home because the church home was hoarded on a Christmas Eve to the house home. My dad's a pastor, and there was a guy who called in and said, I can't believe it. I called the first 10 people in our church, and it started with an A, agape, and none of them would take me in. It's freezing out here, and you guys call yourselves Christian on it, and this is actually a true story. This actually happened, and one thing I encouraged him to say was that, you're calling a home here actually, and the phone's been forwarded. But I do want you to say that Christianity is not false because some people have lived false lives as a result of saying that they're Christian. We should judge Christianity based on whether or not it's true, not based on whether or not some people have misrepresented Christianity. And I'm sorry that you've experienced this or you've seen this throughout history, but certainly I don't think a worldview is based on the truth of a worldview is based off of faulty followers of that worldview.
Just to recap what happened, one of the things we want to try and interact with is the best arguments that are coming. But we also want to recognize that no matter how good the argument is, it really does come back down to the problem of evil. It really does come back down to the fact that someone has experienced something in their lives or is experiencing something in their lives that is evil and is harming them and is causing them pain. And so one of the things that Rich did was, first off, he didn't react in a way that was like just returning an offense back to me. I started with an offense. I said some stuff that wasn't true, and so easily could have turned into a tete-a-tete fight, but it didn't. Instead, he recognized that there was something going on inside of me and asked questions. See, we ask questions. People from my session, what's my favorite apologetic question?
How do you know?
How do you know?
Yeah, and also just real quick, and it kind of came to me as I was doing this, and we're all learning. I kind of started off on the questions, but kind of on a theoretical level, I guess. But one thing I do like to try to do is tell stories, and this is actually happens to be a true story. It really did happen. And as we said earlier, Plato says those who tell stories rule society. Well, stories connect with people, and so I try to use a story to kind of engage him where he was and maybe where the question was coming from. And like Lindsay said, it may have been more of an emotional thing going on there. But I also knew certain facts that would be helpful in the conversation. So I started off with the fact, which really is a fact, that over 100 million people have been killed because of the result of secular regimes. And so you've got to know stuff too, and not just tell great stories. And so I think that's that thing we talked about too, is just engaging the heart and the mind, having both, the head knowledge as well as how can I talk to this person